I'm showing you my sapphic flower farm build. It's on a lot with a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, a greenhouse, and a barn with an art studio, inspired by the book Late Bloomer by Maisie Eddings. You can get a copy of the book at the link in the description below. Hey y'all, and happy Pride! Welcome back to my channel. My name is Vanessa, and this is my channel vstreetlove, where I love to make silly Sims videos. And sometimes I like to do speed build videos, and today we're gonna be looking at my sapphic flower farm inspired by the book Late Bloomer by Maisie Eddings. This is the book. If you want to get a copy of it, I do have a link in the description below. The link is an affiliate link, but it does not cost you any more money to purchase the item. It just allows a little bit of the money to go to me to support me making this channel and making more videos. So this is the official Pride build of the channel, okay? So let's get into the build. So I actually built this on stream, at least partially on stream, and I feel so proud of myself for actually using my time efficiently. So yes, if you did not know, I actually go live on my channel a couple times a week, typically on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. So if you want to figure out maybe some of the upcoming videos that will be coming to my channel, make sure you are tuned in on the live stream. So we did start this build on live. I ended up finishing it off of live. So if you're coming from the live stream, make sure you drop a comment below and say what's up. And yeah, and tell me what you think of how it turned out. So first and foremost, the build was inspired by the book Late Bloomer by Maisie Eddings. Now, I feel like I have said the name of this book a couple of times now, depending on the way that I edit this. This is not sponsored. I am just trying to be very clear that I got the idea for the build from a book. And I've been talking about this a little bit more like on my channel in general, and also on my TikTok, but I find that there is inspiration for The Sims, especially from TV shows, movies, and books. So I read this book and I was like, I'm gonna share it with y'all because it inspired me. Late Bloomer is a sapphic romance novel. So sapphic, if you're not familiar, is a term that also means women loving women. It is basically a lesbian, queer woman love story. And it's a romance book. There's like 1 or 2 little spicy scenes, but it's more romance than spice, which, you know, depending on the mood you're in, it's like, okay, well, I guess I want to read like a normal book, not just a spicy book. But the premise of the book, actually, I'll just read you the back cover because I think that does a good summary. Winning the lottery has ruined Opal Devlin's life. After quitting her dead-end job where she'd earned minimum wage and even less respect, she's bombarded by people knocking at her door for a handout the second they find out her bank account is overflowing with cash. And Opal can't seem to stop saying yes. With her tender heart thoroughly abused, Opal decides to protect herself by any means necessary, which to her translates to putting almost all her new money into buying a failing flower farm in Asheville, North Carolina, to let the flowers live out their plant destiny while she uses the cabin on the property to launch her artistic career. But her plans for isolation and self-preservation go hopelessly awry when an angry, albeit gorgeous, Pepper Bowden is waiting for her at her new farm. Pepper states she's the rightful owner of the Thistle Bloom Farm and isn't moving out. The unlikely pair strike up an agreement of cohabitation and butt heads at every turn. Can these opposites both live out their dreams and plant roots? Or will their combustible arguing and growing attraction burn the whole place down? A character wins the lottery and purchases up a flower farm out in the country? That's exactly what sapphic romance stories are made of. So I was like, yeah, we gotta pick this up. Now, I will say that this one is a thick one. I don't know if you can tell because I have my little screen kind of small, but the story is like 380 pages, which is probably the thickest romance book that I have read in ever, maybe? But it was so cute. Some of the highlights for me of this book in particular was the attention to neurodivergence. So there's a little bit of talk about ADHD and autism in this book, which I really like that. I feel like I read something else recently that had ADHD and autism mentioned in it. Oh, it was Cleat Cute by Meryl Winsler, I think is the author's name. And that was a book where it was like, I think it was sort of enemies to lovers, soccer, sapphic. And they mentioned ADHD and autism in that book, and I really liked that. And so Late Bloomer had that as well. And considering that I still am not exactly sure if I'm a neurospicy individual myself, it's nice to read the main characters who might have a little, a touch of the tism. Now, obviously, the reason why I was like, I have to have this, aside from the fact that it's sapphic, is because it is about flowers and a flower farm and that sort of thing. And I was like, that is the dream for me, low-key. That build that I did for my Mystica Apothecary shop was a cottage with like a ornate flower garden in the back. Oh my gosh, I will, have a little card for you guys. So if you want to check that out, if you haven't, you can. But I just love flowers in The Sims. It's my favorite. It's my favorite thing. I love gardening in The Sims. I don't know how it happens every single time, but like I prioritize it every single time. All of that to say, this build that I am doing is basically the main setting in Late Bloomer. So the flower farm that Opal goes to purchase, that is what I was envisioning, where there is the flower farm, like the flower part out back, but then there's also like a barn that I put in the back where Opal can have her art studio. The main house that Opal and Pepper are fighting over, there's like one room for Opal and one room for Pepper. So Opal in the book, she's bisexual, so I made her little room with like the bisexual pride flag. I can't remember what Pepper was exactly, but I decided just to make her room like lesbian pride flag themed. But the premise of the story, aside from what I read on the back cover, basically what happens is the reason why they're fighting over the flower farm is Opal purchases the flower farm from who she thinks is a very trustworthy woman. And Pepper believes that the flower farm actually belongs to her because her grandmother left it to her in her will. The only problem is Pepper can't find the will. Of course, drama ensues. And because this is a novel, they just decide to just share the house together. Now, I love romance novels because they just be having plot points that don't make any sense in real life. Ain't no way somebody's gonna show up at my doorstep and tell me that they're going to stay in my house with me. Absolutely not. I don't care who you think you bought my house from. You cannot stay here. Meanwhile, even if I buy a house and I show up and somebody else is living there, I'm not staying there with you. We are not cohabitating. We are not sharing the space. You need to leave. I don't care how fine you are. Well, actually, let me not lie. I guess I'd have to be in the situation. How fine is she? Is she real good looking and she's not crazy at all? Like, maybe I'd consider it. But to me, in real life, like, these plot points don't fly. But we don't read these books because they make sense in real life. We read these books because they're a way for us to get lost in the fantasy. Just like this build was a way for me to get lost in the fantasy. So I start off in this build by planning out where I want the buildings to go. So you know that thing that happens when you're reading a book and like you're creating the set pieces in your mind, like it's a TV show or a movie. Basically, it was interesting trying to create the real life set, if you will, in The Sims. It was like fun, but it was also like challenging. And then the other thing that I did that was so much fun was actually working on the flower farm part itself. So one of the critiques that I have about The Sims plants, the ones that we can actually get harvestables from, they're all very uniform. They're pretty much the same. They're just kind of like little green bushes that have different things that come off of them, especially with the flowers. And it's not very interesting to look at, especially when you think about a flower farm. So I thought that it would be a good idea to mix the decorative flowers that we have, the ones that when you go into the build by catalog and you pull out flowers, those flowers, I thought it would be good to mix them with flowers that you actually can like get harvestables from. So you can actually, your sim can actually add flowers to their inventory. I just thought that that would be a much more interesting look and it would, be full and luscious the way that I like for the flower builds that I do to look. And I think that it really turned out really good. Like it looks really good. So we have like the aesthetics of having like lush flowers and so many different colors. And then we also are able to actually get the flowers from that area too. Like your sim can get the flowers and like sell them, make floral arrangements, or even replant and like plant more flowers if you'd like. I also tried to arrange the flowers in like the lesbian pride flag colors. So to start with like darker orange, go into like a medium orange, white, and then pink. I decided to do that before I remembered that the characters might be bi and not actually lesbian. But tomato, tomato at this point. It is pride. Just, I was having fun with it. So hot tip, if you're building and you want to use like plants, like the way I was using, use the gallery. The gallery is your best friend in that situation. I was going to the gallery and I was trying to find the exact flowers that I was looking for and the colors that I wanted. For example, in The Sims, begonias are pink. And so for my pink section of the garden, I went to the gallery and I just typed in begonia, perfect begonia, or whatever I typed in, and people saved rooms with the plants in the perfect state. I was able to place the room and then pull the plant and place it where I wanted it to go in my actual garden. And I just did that over and over again so I can get more copies of the plant, because you can't like duplicate them, but I can download the same room over and over again. So the garden part was so great as usual. I love a garden, but then the other part that was actually really fun for me, surprisingly, was making the artist studio in the barn. So Opal is an artist and she's a multidisciplinary artist. And so part of the reason why she bought the flower farm is to kind of like go escape and become a full-time artist, which again speaks to my little heart as far as like my life story. Okay, a flower farm where you can go and be an artist, like hello. So it was fun making the artist studio. I found all kinds of different things, and in doing that and working on the artist studio itself, as I'm placing the tarp down that has paint splatters on it and newspaper and like the artist storage cart and all the stuff to like make the little artist studio, I decided we need to have a hobbies pack. I am ready for a hobbies specific pack in The Sims 4. Now, I did not play Sims 3 for real, so you guys are gonna have to tell me if we had a hobbies pack in The Sims 3. But I remember it was like The Sims 2 free time or something like that. My brother said that was one of his favorite packs because you could like work on cars and that sort of thing. I was just thinking, I was like, oh my God, how fun would it be to make like a pottery studio for Opal in The Sims, or even a sewing studio for me. I don't know what other hobbies there are. All of my hobbies are creative. So I'm like, I want pottery, I want painting, I want sewing. We do have knitting in The Sims. Obviously, we already have painting in The Sims, but it would be so great to just have more intricate hobbies and things to do. And then also we could make community lots where Sims could actually go to them and be able to do stuff together, right? Like, I feel like there are opportunities for the Sims to do hobbies more on their own and also together. Also, the greenhouse was really fun to work on too, because I used that like spray paint in there. I think it's spray paint. It might be actually the tile on the floor that has the rocks with the flowers in between, because I was like, this is a flower farm, so there's gonna be more flowers here. So that was really fun. And I used the same trick where I took plants off the gallery to put in the vertical planters that come with Eco Lifestyle. Now, I will say this is a build that uses a lot of packs. I don't know what you want from me. I'm just a person. You know what I mean? I'm not perfect. I'm only human. One of these days, I will challenge myself to do a limited pack build. That day wasn't today, though. I used the romantic garden stuff. I was using Eco Lifestyle, cottage living, horse ranch. I even ended up having to use cats and dogs so I could use the newspapers that come in that you lay on the floor to like cover the floor where she would paint. Also use Dream Home Decorator. Now, when I double checked, like, what did I use from Dream Home Decorator? It's one item, y'all. So if you have all the packs except for like Dream Home Decorator, you should be able to download this just fine. Why do I need like 4 or 5 different expansion packs to make my little flower farm? How does that make sense? It doesn't, right? So I also feel like a hobby pack could bring in a little bit from all these different packs into one place. So you only need one pack to do some of the things that I'm talking about, right? I don't know what to tell you. I'm doing my best. I am a beginner, new Sims content creator. At some point, I will be making builds that are more approachable for just the everyday simmer. And if that's you, how about you do me a favor? Leave a comment below letting me know which pack or packs you'd want me to make a build for. How about that? You let me know what pack you have and what you need in your game, and I will do my best to make it. And we can make it on stream, and then I can make a video and I'll share it to my gallery. Another cool thing that came up with this build, though, was the pond. So I put a little pond on the lot. And someone in stream let me know that the items that you can put in the pond, like the little log and like some of the plants, they have live mode actual effects that can happen, which was like so cool to learn. And you can also add a little fishing sign to a pond that's on your own lot, and you can fish on your own lot. Now listen to me, maybe y'all knew that, but I was flabbergasted to find that out. The lily pads have frogs on them. The log, you can have a little turtle show up. There are the little plants that you can put in the pond. There's like flies or fireflies that show up, lightning bugs. I don't know where you're from and what you call it. And it was just so cute to see. And I was like, yeah, my flower farm needs a pond. And again, if you join me on live where we're playing with Tiny Town, my Tiny Town, which is called Rainbow Ridge for my Sims of color who are queer, my Tiny Town has a pond now because of this revelation. Lastly, this is now the second time that I have talked about the way a sapphic book inspired me to make something in The Sims. So another question I have, would you be interested in a book club on this channel? That might look like I choose a book and I post about it on the community tab, and then I give everyone a few weeks to like read it, and then I make a build or maybe a few Sims based on that book. Preferably, it would be a sapphic queer situation, but if it's a really good book, maybe it doesn't have to be like that. Like I said, I do read enough that like there's only so many sapphic stories in the world. You know what I'm saying? Eventually, I might have to start reading with the straights, which would be fine. Again, I don't want to discriminate if you are not a queer person that's watching this video right now. You know, I just like to create a space where like people like me, we're the center of the love and attention. That's all. That's all. But yeah, what do you think? Would you guys be interested in a book club on the channel? I feel like that's something that I would love to just spearhead here. Let me know in the comments below. But let's jump into the game so I can show you how the build turned out. Okay, y'all, so here is the build. This is the Thistle Bloom Flower Farm. So like I said before, the house sits on the front of the lot. Then next to the house, we have the lake, which in live mode, there are some effects. In the back here, we have the greenhouse, the actual flower farm itself, and the barn for storage and for the art studio. But yeah, I think this is so cute. We can start here in the greenhouse. Like I said, I went through and I added the plants from the gallery to the vertical planters. So I guess flowers grow on the vertical planters. Who knew, right? And then a lot of the decor in here comes from the Greenhouse Haven kit. Even the windows and everything is from the Greenhouse Haven kit. So that's why I was like, I don't know. I feel like the Greenhouse Haven kit is an essential pack to have for this build specifically. Then next to our little greenhouse in the back here, we've got the flower farm itself. And I've got a sim here too, because I was just testing it out, making sure that it works. But yeah, you can see here, this is what I was talking about. So like this is a flower bush thing that there's no real interaction with or anything like that. It just looks pretty. But next to it, we have flowers that your Sims can actually harvest from. So I've got the begonias here. I've got tulips here. The tulips aren't in season at this very point. Yeah, they're out of season, but that's okay because when it comes back to being spring again, then like they'll be in season and they'll be popping up here. So it's super cute. And I did that for each row. So like this row, this is where the darker pink stuff is. And there's other flowers here. This row, there's like flowers that are supposed to be white. So we've got the tulips here, but then we also have this other flower bush that's decorative. Now this row is interesting because there are no harvestable plants on this row. It's just all decorative. But I wanted to make sure that there was like varying heights with the flowers and it just looked and felt more interesting and not like so boring and spaced out the whole way. In this row, we don't have a lot of orange plants. So I had to use like birds of paradise. I think I used snapdragons and also roses. And then this row, I think is all birds of paradise. I learned a lot while I was building this. Like, oh, we don't have as many orange flowers as I thought that we would have. Then over here on this side, we have the barn. So on the first floor of the barn, we have the artist studio right when you walk in on the front side. I wanted it to feel a little bit more rustic, like it's an old barn out in the country, right? Like it's just done up perfectly for Opal or your Sim to come in here and like do some painting and work on their art. And then on this side, I also included a flower arranging table. I think in the speed build portion, I put a woodworking table, but that didn't make any sense. So I swapped it out for a flower arranging table. Now, I will say it would have made more sense to put the flower arranging table in the greenhouse, you know, closer to where some of the flowers were. But there is a plot point in the book where they're like working in the barn to put together like a flower show thing. So I was just going off of that plot point there. And now for the actual house. When you walk in, we have like the stairwell and it's just like a little entryway. But then immediately off the entryway, we have a really small living room with a fireplace. Off of the living room, we have a bathroom that has a downstairs shower, and then we have a small bedroom here that has a closet. Then on the other side, we have the kitchen. So the kitchen also has like a teeny tiny little seating area as like a dining room We don't have a formal dining room in this house. I will say trying to figure out the floor plan for this was difficult for me because I wanted to keep it small, but I also wanted to match the way that I thought the floor plan was in the book in my mind. So this is close enough. Upstairs, we have the upstairs bathroom that is shared for the 2 rooms up here. And then we have Opal's bedroom. Opal is the artist. She's a little bit more eclectic. And part of her lore is that she has ADHD. So I wanted to make sure that her room was like creative, a little bit messier, a little bit more stuff on the wall. And then another thing that I did that I didn't talk about before is I actually went and I pulled some photos off of the gallery as well. And the reason why I did that is because when I'm playing The Sims, I like putting family photos on the walls. And so I like the idea of having some photos of Sims to represent Opal's sisters. Like those are other characters in the book and she might have pictures of them on her wall and in her room. And then we've got her pride flag. And then next to Opal's room, we have Pepper's room. So Pepper, she is more neat. I think in the book canonically might have autism. So her room is just a little bit more neat and refined. And then I also found these photos on the gallery to represent an older woman Sim who is her grandmother. And her grandmother's room is the one that's technically downstairs. So yeah, so I just thought that this added a little bit of feeling of realism. We have art that kind of represents nature and flowers, but then we also have old family photos. That was the idea. Now, because I did this actually, this build is tagged as modded. So when you are searching for this build, the Thistle and Bloom Flower Farm, just make sure you also includes custom content in your search and it will pop up. I also added a little barbecue out back and then a little picnic table out here too next to our our pond. And then let me show you guys really quickly. So in live mode, you can see that I have dragonflies and then look at our little pond here. We've got a little turtle here on the log. We've got frogs that will pop up. I've got fish swimming in here. It's just so cute. And look, the little fireflies that are coming up as well. Oh, look, a frog. Can you see him on the lily pads? So with the pond, you can toggle on and off the little effects on these items. I did not know that. So for example, here I've allowed the turtles on the logs. Over here on these lily pads, I've allowed the frogs to jump up. So you'll see a frog periodically. Oh, you see him jumping up right there? He looks so cute. And then here I have this other lily pad here. And so I can click on it and click allow frogs on lily pad. Oh, the turtle left. Oh, and look, I've got a new frog. So yeah, so my pond is alive and well, and there's all this cute stuff going on. And it really adds to the scene of my flower farm. It's just so lovely. I love this. I truly do. It's one of my favorite builds. But then again, any build that I have that has flowers in it is going to be one of my favorite builds. I also added this archway from Horse Ranch to kind of be the entryway into the gardening area. And I just think it looks so magical out here. Now, if you want to download this lot, it's called Thistle Bloom Flower Farm and it's on the gallery. Again, it is modded. So make sure you have that filter turned on when you are going to download it. My name is vstreetlove. That's my gallery ID. And I also want to take a moment to wish everyone a happy and safe Pride. I know for some of us, we're not able to celebrate the way that we would like to, but I hope that this video creates a little bit of space so you know that you are loved and wanted in this world exactly as you are. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel, liking this video, and turning on the post notifications so you know when my next video goes up. I go live weekly on this channel, so I know you're gonna want to join me for those shenanigans there. Like I said, we're doing Tiny Town, so that's gonna be a lot of fun. Until next time, y'all, dag dag!